In the passionate world of anime and manga fans, there is an age-old mantra that many consider gospel: the manga is always better. Purists often argue that the original source material contains the true essence of the story, free from the constraints of animation production. They point to the detailed art and the reader's own imagination as the reasons why a static page will always trump a moving image. But every so often, a studio comes along that defies these odds, taking those black and white panels and elevating them to legendary status. Through masterclass direction, evocative soundtracks, and breathtaking animation, these adaptations didn't just follow the story, they evolved it. Today, we are diving deep into the history of Japanese animation to count down 10 series where the anime is the definitive experience. We'll be looking at how production values, musical scores, and even structural changes can turn a great manga into a masterpiece. So sit back, grab your snacks, and prepare to see why these adaptations are actually better than the manga they were based on. Starting our list at number 10 is a series that took the world by storm through sheer production power: Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. While Koyoharu Gotoge's manga is celebrated for its emotional core, the early art is often described as unrefined or shaky. Studio Ufotable stepped in and transformed these early sketches into a visual masterpiece that redefined modern action anime. The Hinokami Kagura sequence became a global viral sensation, proving that the right animation can breathe immense life into a story. In the manga, the elemental effects were static artistic flourishes, but the anime turned them into immersive, woodblock print-inspired spectacles. The anime gave the Hashira a level of presence and color that made them instant icons across the entire community. Even the villains were granted a more terrifying and detailed aura through Ufotable's incredible use of lighting and shadow. Short manga encounters were expanded into several minutes of breathtaking choreography, making every single duel feel high stakes and epic. This visual fidelity, combined with a hauntingly beautiful score, amplifies the emotional resonance of Tanjiro's journey far beyond the page. It is the perfect example of how an adaptation can take a popular manga and turn it into a global phenomenon. Moving to number 9, we have a series that evolved from a rough-hewn story into a polished modern classic: Attack on Titan. Hajime Isayama's early manga art was notoriously crude, which often made it difficult for readers to follow the intense action. Wit Studio, and later MAPPA, provided the visual polish and cinematic scope that Isayama's grand vision desperately needed. The kinetic energy and sheer speed of the 3D maneuver gear sequences are rendered with a fluidity that static panels simply cannot capture. In the final episodes, the anime even improved the dialogue between Eren and Armin, addressing criticisms of the original manga's ending. Isayama himself worked closely with the anime team to ensure that certain character motivations were clearer and more impactful. The anime also added original scenes of global destruction during the rumbling, making the scale of the disaster feel truly worldwide. Let's not forget Hiroyuki Sawano's epic score, which gave every Titan encounter a sense of mythic weight and terror. Small visual additions, like the Red Sea symbolism, added layers of depth that made the anime's world feel more lived in and tragic. For most fans, the anime isn't just an adaptation, it is the definitive way to experience the tragedy of Paradise and the Titans. At number 8, we find Mob Psycho 100, a series that proves that crude art can be a springboard for absolute creativity. The original manga by One is famous for its simple, almost amateurish art style, which is incredibly expressive but lacks technical polish. Studio Bones decided to honor that unique style rather than fixing it, pairing it with some of the most experimental animation in history. The use of paint-on-glass animation for psychic battles creates a psychedelic experience that a traditional manga simply cannot replicate. Mob's emotional state is visually represented by distinct shifts in the entire show's art style, making his 100% moments feel earned. Director Yuzuru Tachikawa encouraged the staff to experiment, leading to a show that feels like a constant, fluid visual surprise. The pacing is also significantly tighter in the anime, cutting through the manga's occasionally meandering plot to focus on Mob's growth. The sound design in the anime adds a physical impact to every psychic explosion, making the battles feel heavy and consequential. Even characters like Reigen benefit from the voice acting, which adds a layer of hilarious charisma that leaps off the screen. It is a rare case where the medium of animation perfectly matches the quirky, heartfelt soul of its creator's original work. Coming in at number 7 is the 2011 masterpiece, Hunter x Hunter, a show that rescued a legendary story from its rough beginnings. Yoshihiro Togashi's health issues often led to sketchy manga chapters that were essentially rough drafts with very little detail. Madhouse's 2011 reboot is a masterclass in consistency, providing high-quality visuals for 148 episodes without ever dropping the ball. The anime eliminated almost all filler while fixing the manga's inconsistent artwork, resulting in a perfectly paced narrative. The Chimera Ant arc, which is extremely dialogue-heavy in the manga, uses a narrator to build an unbearable sense of tension. The orchestral score adds a layer of dread and importance to every move made during the palace invasion, elevating the stakes. Characters were given a level of polish and consistent design that allowed their emotions to truly shine through in every scene. The anime staff even preserved Togashi's minor details, like Killua's constantly rotating wardrobe, adding a layer of realism to the show. The complex nen battles are much easier to follow in motion, with the visual effects clarifying the complicated rules of each fight. For many, the 2011 anime isn't just a great show, it is the definitive legacy of one of the greatest shonen stories ever told. Number 6 is Jujutsu Kaisen, a show that takes the stellar choreography of the manga and turns it into a high-octane spectacle. Studio Mappa is famous for flexing its production power, often extending fight scenes far beyond what was shown on the page. Domain expansions, which are beautifully drawn in the manga, become jaw-dropping cinematic events in the anime. The Shibuya Incident arc in the anime added significant context to the characters' thought processes during those brutal moments. The fight between Mechamaru and Mahito was expanded into a giant mech spectacle that felt like a tribute to the best of the genre. The sound design adds a visceral weight to every Black Flash hit, making the impact feel incredibly heavy to the viewer. Small anime original moments give us more time to sit with the characters, making the inevitable tragedies hit even harder. The kinetic energy of the hand-to-hand combat is a level above the manga, utilizing the full potential of 2D animation. It's a perfect example of how a studio can take a great shonen and turn it into a high-budget cinematic experience. For most fans, seeing these domains and fights come to life is the ultimate way to enjoy Akutami's dark world. At number 5 is Cowboy Bebop, an anime that defines the word cool and actually outshines its manga counterpart. While it had a manga adaptation, Cowboy Bebop was an original anime first, and its true soul is tied to the medium of film. The jazz-infused soundtrack by Yoko Kanno is so integral to the show's identity that the manga feels empty without it. The anime uses light, shadow, and silence to create an atmospheric noir vibe that static pages simply cannot replicate. The voice acting brings a level of personality to characters like Spike and Faye that makes them feel like real, tired adults in space. Spike's Bruce Lee-inspired fighting style is beautifully animated, with every punch and kick having a rhythmic, dance-like quality. The sense of loneliness and isolation in space is captured through wide, cinematic shots that need the movement of film to breathe. Characters like Radical Ed were designed for animation. Their chaotic energy and movement are half the charm. The emotional weight of the series' themes of past and regret are amplified by its iconic ending themes and visual metaphors. For Bebop fans, there is only one way to experience the jazz. You have to see it and hear it to believe it. Number 4 is the historical epic Vinland Saga, a series where structural changes actually improved a masterpiece. The anime rearranged the manga's non-linear prologue into a chronological story, allowing us to grow up alongside young Thorfinn. Because we spent more time with Thorfinn's father, Thors, his ultimate sacrifice hit the audience with much more weight. The sheer intensity of the Viking raids is brought to life with visceral, high-quality animation that highlights the brutality of war. Original scenes like the Well of Corpses added deep visual metaphors for Thorfinn's guilt that the manga simply didn't have. In Season 2, the anime expanded on Einar's backstory, giving his perspective on the horrors of slavery more emotional depth. The beautiful, often quiet landscapes serve as a stark contrast to the violence, a theme the anime highlights through its direction. The voice acting for characters like Askeladd adds a layer of cunning and complexity that makes him one of anime's best villains. The dream of Vinland feels more tangible through the anime's warm color palette and hopeful musical themes. It is a masterclass in how to take a perfect manga and restructure it to make it even better for a television format. Coming in at number 3 is Ping Pong the Animation, where a unique art style is used to create pure kinetic energy. Director Masaki Yuasa took the manga's ugly art and used it to create a motion comic feel that is unlike anything else. The rhythmic sound design of the ball hitting the table creates a heartbeat for the show, driving the tension of every match. Number 2 is K-On!, a show that turned a simple 4-panel gag comic into the gold standard of the slice-of-life genre. Kyoto Animation added hundreds of original scenes and songs, giving these characters a level of depth they never had on the page. The addition of actual music, songs that fans still listen to today, is something a manga simply cannot provide. And finally, at number 1, we have the definitive way to experience an epic story, Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood. While the original 2003 anime deviated, Brotherhood is a faithful adaptation with pacing that is considered absolute perfection. The integration of Akira Senju's score during the Promise Day finale creates a layer of tragedy that static pages lack. It is a masterclass in adaptation, proving that sometimes the anime really is the definitive way to tell a story. These 10 series show us that when a studio puts in the effort, they can take a great foundation and build something unforgettable. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.